Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi, and today we have another team report from the Pokemon World Championships all the way back in Regulation G, and I am joined by another top player. I am joined by Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty great today.
Yeah, well, for those who don't know you, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
I'm Daniel. This is probably the biggest event. This is my first year seriously competing in Pokemon, and this is the best run I've had in an event so far. I got top 32 at the World Championships. I just whiffed cut, uh, going 8-1 and then dropping to 8-3.
Yeah, and we're recording this in September, right after the World Championships. But of course, you're probably watching this in December or January because we're going back to Regulation G and we're using a team that was totally out there. No one was really expecting to see this Pokemon Basculegion in Regulation G. It's everywhere right now. I hope everyone enjoyed facing this guy all over the place right now. But yeah, I wanted to show off this team. And I thought that it would be more pertinent after everyone had 3 months of actually getting some practice with Basculegion and looking forward to regionals where you could use it again. It's still good. And Daniel, so why that's actually the old version of the team. But Daniel, why Basculegion? Why did you choose to run this team?
Okay, well, there's a lot of reasons to just run this team, but the reason for the Basculegion is in general is that you might like a lot of reason that you didn't run Basculegion before on most Kyogre teams is it fills essentially the same role as a Scarf Urshifu Rapid Strike. It hits hard with the water stab, and the fighting stab was just there to, or was just a little bit better into the things around it, the Terapagos and stuff. But this team specifically had already had its Urshifu taken up, and we have the ability to have the Basculegion do the Scarf Shifu things, but with Protect, and hit harder than the Urshifu ever would with Life Orb and Last Respects, like ramping up further in the end game. This main weird thing about this team is that instead of playing around resists, I guess with the water typing because everything resists water, it kind of hit so hard on the water side that you couldn't, if you didn't have an immunity to it, it was hard to just take those hits at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It reminds me of I'm gonna date myself here. It reminds me of Gen 4 where you put 4 dragon types in your team and you just all right, well they can't have enough steel types to deal with all of them.
Yeah,
Um
you're still taking damage. Half damage is still damage.
yeah. And so yeah, talk me through the team building process. When did you decide that you were going to run Kyogre and decide you're gonna run this version of Kyogre at the World Championships?
Well, way back when, I had no idea what I was gonna run because I had all of my Reg G experience in Calyrex Ice. My friends had doing Koraidon, and we talked them out of that. Um, and we had a little bit more with and what we wanted to do was find something that beat ideally both the horses. And at the time, it looked like Terapagos was the best thing to beat that. And then Terapagos started losing to Calyrex Shadow, and that was like the one thing that it kind of was there for. But more importantly, my friend Andrew uh, comes to me, and he after bringing Kyogre to NAIC, he comes to me and he shows me this. He's like, "Trust me, this beats both of the horses. Not this necessarily this specific build, but that Assault Vest Kyogre in general, because you resist because bulky water types are. I remember after playing Cali Ice, it was so hard to break through those. It's just Urshifu in general, but now another bulky water type on that team that you just can't break through in the Trick Room. And then the Assault Vest makes it incredibly hard to deal with for Calyrex Shadow as well. So when I saw the matchups into both of those being not perfect, but like a lot better than I had with any of the other things I had tried, I wanted to give this team a shot, and it just ended up being the most comfortable and honestly the coolest looking team I could have seen.
Yeah. And so talk me through the process of putting this team together.
Okay, so the first four, as you see from the very beginning of this, we had Kyogre, Urshifu, Basculegion, and Tornadus. Obviously, Tornogre has been a thing for 20,000 years, and by 20,000 years, I mean since Dynamic Speed Control. But the Tornogre here is it was the base thing, and then the Urshifu was kind of our second restricted. A lot of teams, like people joked, "Hey, we have a second restricted with Ursaluna Blood Moon or Raging Bolt," But ours was our Urshifu Rapid Strike in the rain with Choice Band. And then after that, we still needed something fast, because if people match Tailwinds, then we don't want to be caught being the slower thing there. So that's where the Scarf Urshifu Rapid Strike slot, or in this case the Basculegion, came into play. And then the other two slots were kind of matchup fixy. In this case, the old one was the Farigiraf. You need something to deal with the priority spam or the fake out spam if you want to take value out of your Tailwind with your guys. And the Raichu didn't stick, but it was there because, well, the biggest threat to Kyogre's existence, Miraidon, was a large problem for this team, at least early on. So this is the team that actually got brought to me, the one with the Serena over the Farigiraf and the Terra Dark Torn. From here until the last one, there's a couple main things. Everything got faster on our team, and more importantly, EVs got fixed. Like the early on, and also Raichu died somewhere in the process.
Yeah.
The big reason for Raichu dying is because if you think about what Raichu does in the Miraidon matchup, you might notice it is pretty much nothing. But also, they started running Terra Fairy Dazzle, so now he did less than nothing because he wasn't even taking all the electric attacks because they would stop clicking them.
Mm-hmm. And so
yeah,
so
do you want
Landorus.
any of the specific spreads? Oh yes, Landorus was the final. Like we tried Shenpao in the middle and Fluttermane as something to fix the Miraidon matchup because it is really bad if you have nothing. If you just accept 3 water types and just hope you're gonna perform the Miraidon, you'll just get blown out of the water. Mm-hmm. But Landorus was our. We were trying to find something that could come to the 3 main leads the 4 main leads we saw from Miraidon, which were Farigiraf Miraidon, Whimsicott Miraidon, Iron Hands Farigiraf, and actually it was mostly those 3 modes. And then we wanted something that we could bring into all of them so we wouldn't have to play a guessing game every single turn. So what we did is we finally added a ground type who happens to be faster, and we decided to try and bring Landorus and Kyogre up front and stagger our Tailwinds so that we could have the end game. Because what we used to do, like before they had their Urshifu Darks, like back when they were on the Rajan's version of the team from Indy, or like we tested against that early on, and what we used to do is just bring Tornadus Kyogre, let Kyogre go down, and have because Basculegion would end up being faster, and there was no threat to it. It would just try to kind of take out everything eventually, as soon as everything had some chipped into it. But then the Dark Shifu and Sash Shifu, I guess in general, had one more thing on their team that could live and attack, and it just ended up like pushing the margins out of the way. So when we added the Landorus, we finally had something that was faster. It let us stagger the Tailwind, so our Urshifu could end up being faster than everything on their team, at least in that last turn. And yeah, and then we still have the Serena or the Basculegion in case we wanted to for the Iron Hands.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, talk me through the Pokemon themselves and why they are trained the way they are.
Okay, so Kyogre has always needed a ton of special attacks. Like most of the Assault Vest Kyogres, I'm assuming you've seen, were a lot bulkier than this one is. This one kind of has just a couple fringe extra EVs there, but it's fast and strong. So the Kyogre offensive, we needed that much special attack so that we could KO every Assault Vest Rillaboom with Water Spout into Triple Axle, as long as they're not Terra Water. Because if we don't have a reliable way to at least somewhat reliable way to KO our Rillabooms, we're not breaking through everything. The speed was, I believe, yeah, our speed is to creep our Serena. Our Serena hits 129, which is, outspeeding Pelipper, and our Kyogre is 1 above that. And we mostly, for the majority of time, assumed that was also going to be faster than every Rillaboom, obviously faster than every Incineroar, and of course every Raging Bolt. Urshifu, Urshifu's jolly, and it's 1 faster than Timid Kyogre, or any base 90, I guess, so that we can be sure that we outspeed those, because a lot of these things came down to speed first, and then the rest was trying to find whatever we can live or do extra damage with from there. So yeah, Urshifu is max speed, or is that speed so we can outspeed the Kyogres, and the max speed Timon, Flutters, and Sun once we're in Tailwind. The Serena is there, has the speed to outspeed the Pelipper's, and again the attack to help KO the Rillabooms with triple axle plus water spout. Tornadus, this was a lot of back and forth on this spread. We wanted it to be faster than the Urshifu, but we wanted to decide between going bulky or doing a bit more damage, being here for a short time, not a long time. Or a good time, not a long time. So we ended up going with a modest set, which had pretty good chances to 2-hit KO Rillaboom with Bleakwind Storm. I think, and because like with max HP, you live every unboosted Thunderclap, and therefore every Volt Switch from Raging Bolt. And we were not going to live much more than that. I believe we did live every Timid Draco at -2, though. So that did, I guess, come up later. But again, max HP was just enough for us. Basculegion. So Basculegion spread, a lot of the Basculegion, a lot of the change happened in this Basculegion spread within the days coming up to Worlds. Originally, it had a bit more special defense so that it could live every Assault Vest, Raging Bolt, Thunderclap, and every Assault Vest, Rillaboom, Grassy Glide. But there was one thing that kept coming up, or two things. That was the Annihilate, Choice Scarf, KOing something, or coming up in the end game to be annoying and happen to win those 1v1s, as well as not KOing Urshifu Waters with 2 boosts on our last respects. So when we were on 236 attack. So if you add those last 2 points of attack, it does give you 1 extra roll onto the Urshifu Rapid Strike. And with this bulk, we still live the max attack Adamant Grassy Glides from Rillaboom 15 out of 16 times, as well as just like because they're similar damage apparently. Unboosted Adamant Urshifu Dark Sucker Punch 15 out of 16 times. And then finally the Landorus, as much as this spread looks, thought through, it's just 12 defense so that you can live on a 116 Adamant Rillaboom Woodhammer, and then max essentially from there.
Yeah.
There's one other weird thing that you might notice about this team is that half of the Pokemon have taunt on it. This is because we really needed our speed control, and there were 3 things that we had 3 separate scenarios where Trick Room or some other way of losing our speed control could go up, and we kind of wanted a way to deal with those in a way so that we didn't have to play lead roulette with those. So obviously Amoonguss hates this team because half the team has taunt and the other half is Terra Grass, but it's a very funny thing that I didn't realize until after the World Championships.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because I'd used Serena a little bit in Regulation F, and I thought I was using Helping Hand on it as the last slot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was curious about taunt, but I guess that makes a lot of sense. You need to get your speed control up. You need to get just to really annoy Amoonguss when you have the triple water types. And so I guess did you ever click taunt with your Landorus, with your Choice Scarf Landorus?
Okay, that one unfortunately no. It almost happened because that was especially for the Miraidon matchup, the Iron Hands for Graph lead, which I only played 2 Miraidon and that lead never came up. But the plan there was if we lead Kyogre plus Landorus, if you try to fake out the Landorus and I get a taunt, a Terra Ghost taunt onto your Farigiraf, then you'll never get speed control against me, and I will just keep clicking water moves until the game ends.
I mean,
But
yeah.
no, but I did click Torrent's taunt and Serena's taunt during the tournament. I clicked Landorus's taunt in testing, but never during Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so even though this team is filled with a lot of kind of strange Pokemon that you don't normally see, or strange movesets that you don't normally see, I think all the movesets kind of make a lot of sense, especially with the context that you explained. But the Terra types are very interesting. You mentioned that you have 3 Terra Grasses. The Serena is Terra Ice, which is not something I've really seen before. Talk to me about why you chose the Terra types that you did.
Okay, well, Kyogre's Grass has been there for a while. You need to resist those Thunderbolts, those Wood Hammers, the Thunderclaps. It's always great to have. The other 2 Terra Grasses, those were, again, defensively for similar reasons. but also because early on we needed to get ways around Amoonguss just because we had the ability to just blow up some Calyrex ices. For a while, we had a Chen Pao at one point, and we could just blow up a Calyrex ice if you were in rain with Sword of Ruin with Choice Band. It's not something you can normally do, but it was mostly for those grassy glides, those thunderclaps, and you could play a game if you had two water types in an end game. Who are you gonna thunderclap? Good luck. Serena's Terra Ice happened because we found we were only clicking Terra for one situation, and that was against Glacial Lance. Also all of our taunts died at Glacial Lance, but this one specifically, we only clicked Ice defensive, or our Terra originally defensively on Serena to survive those Glacial Lances, so we thought may as well get our extra damage that we can with our Terra Ice triple axle. Because it is also, if we Terra Ice, it is our strongest, or is our more reliable way to do 120 base power versus Power Whips with Wide Lens. It's still like only 93.5%.
Makes sense. And then it sounded like you had a lot of game plans really mapped out. You really knew what you were going to do in every situation, what you were going to lead on to every team. Tell me about that. What was your tell me about what your common modes were and what your game plans were into some of the more common teams you expected to face.
Yeah, so we actually we as much as it sounds like I did a lot of prep, we did a lot of prep for about 6 teams. So the first one was our Calyrex Shadow was our favorite matchup because as they just cannot break the Kyogre reasonably, and if they do, a big thing about this team is something that I thought was crazy about it first. Is like this Kyogre was going to die a lot of games, but because Basculegion gets powered up and you get extra turns of Tailwind with your strong other water attackers in, it's fine if it goes down. It's essentially clicking Water Spout and Follow Me at the same time. It's very nice. So into Calyrex Shadow, like the majority of times we would just lead Tornadus Kyogre, and even if they had like Rilla Raging Bolt or Rilla whatever, we would just click Tailwind Water Spout and see how the game goes. Because as soon as we get some chip on things, a lot of Pokemon were put into what we like to call fish percent, which is Basculegion range. So after like one Water Spout, everything like on a Calyrex Shadow team, the Rilla, the Bolts is in 2 deaths Basculegion range. So for example, into Calyrex Shadow, we always went to Tornogre, Tailwind Water Spouted, and had a good old time. Into the Miraidon, like the classic one, the one that won Worlds. Except we usually played it with a Dark Shifu, but I don't think it changes much. I think it's a little bit better for us if they have the Water Shifu. It was originally it was Tornadus Kyogre, but now it's Landorus plus Kyogre. So if they went into the Tailwind mode against us, they have to pick: do I want to attack the Kyogre with an electric move, and with the potential of them going Terra Grass, and then now I'm stuck with an electric move versus a Grass type and a Ground type, and I'm running out of Tailwind turns already. Or do I want to Volt Switch out, and then your Iron Hands or your Dark Shifu breaks its sash or takes a ton of damage from this ground and water type attack? Or do I want to lock into Draco, and now I just have no chance of ever killing this Kyogre? So that was the best way we could find to, when we put it into practice, beat the Miraidon modes. Against the other 2 modes, the Furgraph Iron Hands, I already said it was bring the Kyogre and the Lando and pretending it's Terra Ghost taunt mind games. But even if we get it wrong, it is not unwinnable. And then finally, I believe it was the Miraidon Furgraph lead. This one was a bit worse because if they go for the Helping Hand Draco into the Kyogre, if they're modest, it always KOs, and if they're timid, it almost always KOs our Kyogre. It is very close. Yeah, so against these teams, if they lead the and if they go, but the same thing applies. If they go for Dazzling Gleam or Electric Move, then they probably have to give up on KOing one of these guys, and that was the main thing that we loved about this mode. I played against 1 or 2 Miraidons, and one of them I brought the Whimsicott Miraidon both games and lost that way, and the other one brought the Furgraph and Miraidon and then tried to go for the Helping Hand Draco and didn't get the roll. So that one I just got very lucky, but I'll take my luck when it's at the World Championships.
Of course.
Against there's one more Calyrex Shadow team, which was Justin Knox's or I believe Justin Knox had it's the Dozo Weezing stuff. That one was a bit we usually saw it with choice specs on the Calyrex Shadow. but it's something similar. It's if they lead the Calyrex Shadow and the Wheezing, they can never KO our Tornadus and our Kyogre turn 1 because we can Terra Dark and try and live that. They can, but now these ones, this one would have given us a lot more trouble because of the Protect to stall out the Tailwind and the Pollen Puff to KO the Dark types. Very
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, no, I had the
And
team
then-
report uploaded with Justin, and he talked a lot about that. So if you want to hear more about that team, we got a team report about that as well. And he thinks that, at least Justin thinks that this is the best version of it. It sounds like you do too. So I'm going to take that as
Yes,
an endorsement.
definitely. Yeah, my friends were always running and they were like, man, what is this Jolly Urshifu with Rock Tomb doing on ladder? Because I think they separately, we had a bunch of fish, around hopping around the ladder, and it was very funny because I bet for Justin, he was running into the same team on different accounts like 3 times. But the landers we did not test with as much on ladder, with more theory crafting. One more thing was the Calyrex Ice. There was an adjustment with the Calyrex Ice teams that we didn't quite have a perfect answer for it. Like the old ones without Ogerpon Cornerstone. So I believe I don't know who the highest Cornerstone. The one I lost to was yeah, that works. Yeah. So these ones got a little bit harder, especially the one that I played against, which had Never Melt Ice Calyrex, because it just chips everything a little harder, and we don't have an Intimidate to punish that. But the Ogerpon Cornerstone is especially annoying for us because it's like it's a follow me user that simultaneously threatens and Oko's Urshifu, but also is not ignorable by Serena. So this one we just decided to lead Serena and Urshifu and just hope we can get the Mind Gate right. Or if you're gonna follow me, I Surging and Taunt. If you're going to attack, then I Terra Grass Surging and Protect or Taunt, depending on whatever the Calyrex does. And I played 2 of these and or 3 of these, or no, I played 2 of these pretty much ones at Worlds, and I lost to one of them because of the Never Melt Ice, but also because I got those mind games wrong, and I don't think I would have done much better than that. And then the final 2 teams we did were Koraidon, which did not exactly matter as much because I didn't run into any of those, and then the Terapagos, the Balanced Terapagos and the Specs Terapagos. Both of those, which it feels counterintuitive, but both of those up front, we still led the Tornadus and the Kyogre. And we would try to play a game of you can't break me faster than I break you. Because if they turn off our rain, we have the Torn, we're ready to turn it right back on. And we have an Assault Vest, and Terapagos is not exactly known for doing insane amounts of damage. The Calm Mind ones, like, they were very tauntable, and it was hard for them to set up for a lot of the time versus us. The ones I played, yeah, they never really got many Calm Minds up, and if they did, it's always not great because we have a Choice Bandit or Shifu in the back in the worst case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like that approach because I think that you said you prep for like the 6 big teams, but that's how I think you have to play restricted formats. Is there really are you target down the best Pokemon, and you had really good game plans into a lot of the common stuff, and that's what's really important. And it sounds like the versions of the at least the Calyrex Ice team that you lost to had some text that is really disruptive, which is what you try to do at the World Championships, just like you did to really disrupt other people's game plans with Basculegion. I think throwing a wrench in a lot of people's Kyogre game plans. And so yeah, I guess before we talk about your tournament run, would you make any changes to the team moving forward, going into Regulation G Part 2?
So the one thing that I know, the 2 things that I ran into throughout Worlds that I kind of don't know if I would have changed, but like might have come up. Serena's Terra. I was a little bit shaken on this one. I don't know if we needed Ice. Ice did happen, but I think Water or Fire would have been okay substitutes. Terra Ice was cool, and I did click it to get a KO that I normally wouldn't have, but I don't know if I needed that to get that KO that turn to have a chance in that game. And Basculegion being the life orb. I love this guy has phenomenal bulk, but it is, or at least natural bulk. It's okay, but it's good enough that it can live almost every like weak attack once. But it feels bad throwing it away with life orb. But I did felt like I need both boosts. So if I could find a way to determine which boost I would want more, I think Spell Tag or Mystic Water could have a place on this team. Other than that, no, like no, maybe I don't think I could physically go faster on Kyogre without feeling bad, or Serena, because the one thing that did surprise me was the Rillaboom that did outspeed me at one point in the tournament.
Hmm. Yeah, it seems like all the EVs at least are very optimized. Very you stress them out as much as possible, definitely. So that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And I guess on that note, do you want to talk about your experience at the World Championships? Because this was your first World Championships. This is the first time you've competed. I guess was it the first time you've attended the World Championships?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so it's a crazy experience. Not just doing as well as you did, but also obviously just being there at the World Championships is always such
Yeah.
a cool experience. So tell me about your expectations going into the tournament, as far as the World Championships, and then what your sort of experience was throughout the weekend.
So going into Worlds, I had two objectives. I had to get a shirt for my cousin, and then I wanted to win like one early round. I didn't like within the first 3 rounds. I wanted to take a win. I did not, especially I really wanted to win round one, obviously, but I did not expect to get anywhere close to this. My expectations were that maybe one of my, because I had 3 friends, or I had 2 other friends, 3 people in total running the same team, and then one other friend who was running a Calyrex Shadow team. And I thought that there was a good chance that one of us makes it a pretty decent run. Like I was expecting maybe one of us squeaks in a day 2, or I was hoping that on average that we would uh, end up positive throughout the weekend. I did not expect to have a good as good a performance as I did, but when I actually got here, to the later rounds, it did feel incredible.
Yeah.
So
And so I guess give me some. So you play, of course. You went. It looks like you went 7-1 in day one. And obviously had a crazy resistance throughout to even make it into top 32. So give me some of the highlights of day one. What were some of the highlight matchups that you played?
let's see. Uh, my first win was okay. This one is not especially a highlight one, but it was really funny because it was a Hisuian Zoroark team, and I thought it was in turn one it was a Mienshao Calyrex lead, but the as one did not go off. So I did know it was a Zoroark, so I wrote in my notebook Calyrex Ice, or Cali plus Mienshao, and then I switched out my Urshifu in front of a Wisp, knowing that it was not going to be a Cali Ice. It was a very funny matchup, and it's a cool team. I'm sad that that one didn't get to do anything cool. This would have been a cool team report to watch if that had the cool run.
This team
But
is wild.
I mean, you have to try something wild at the World Championships, because if you just bring something like basic, you're kind of backing yourself to have better in the moment knowledge than your opponents will have prep against you. Like it's a hard thing to do.
You can cook, but this might be cooking a little too much. But yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Okay. The highlight matches. I think I played great versus. Oh, I didn't realize that. So my round 6, I played against a Comfey Terapagos team. It's another Calm Mind one. It's pretty much what you'd expect out of these 6 Pokemon, except for Charm and no Protect on the Flutter Mane. So against this team, this was my win in it, and I felt incredible winning this one because I won this 2-0, and I feel like I got it very correct because I just led Tornadus, Kyogre versus Rillaboom and Terapagos, and I got the turns right. Game 1 turn 1 he went for Terra Starstorm plus U-turn, and I didn't Terra my to try and KO my Kyogre if I Terra Grassed, but I didn't, and then I went for or Water Spout, Bleak Wind, breaking his Terra Shell, and then Rain Dance the next turn. And just versus that, essentially all I had to do was break through the Comfey and then bring Urshifu and win the game. And then game 2, he went for Fake Out Calm Mind, and I called him with a taunt on the Terapagos. Turn 1, and then the same thing happened as game 1, where he U-turned Terra Starstorm, and I Rain Danced Water Spout and won the game. The one team that did push me really hard was Hirofumi's. That was the Nevermelt Ice Calyrex that I did not expect to see. I didn't even know this was a tech that was showing up at any point. And what happened was he had the Ogerpon Calyrex lead that most people do, but it's also Terra Poison on the Calyrex, which means that he can always decide to resist my grass moves, which is usually something that comes with the cost of becoming weak to my water moves when they were Terra Fire, or weak to triple axle if they were Terra Grass. But this one, it's just a great neutral defensive typing, especially against us. And the Glacial Lances started picking up 3-hit KOs in my water types that I did not expect to happen. And this one I just kind of got rolled over. Probably
Yep.
because off of the stress of getting to day 2, as this is my 7th round match. But
I mean, Hirofumi is one of the greatest players of all time, back-to-back Japan national champion. So no shame there. And dude, I ran Nevermelt Ice Calyrex at Worlds too. I thought it was such a cool tech. So
yeah, it's an incredible. I didn't know that was a thing going into Worlds, and then people were like, "Yeah, we saw the Incineroar downturn. We figured out, hey, we just may as well get free damage on our team."
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, cool." And then my only, or the other one I was going to talk about was my game versus Ruben. This one I was it should have been a lot better for me than it was, but yeah, game 3 against Ruben. As I said, this team is more of a Tailwind Water Spout game. Turn your brain off and hope that, and figure out what you can do to recover. Even if your Kyogre goes down, you have a boosted Last Respects and Urshifu in the back with Terra Grass available. So what happened is game 3, because I think I choked game 1, but game 3 I just went for Tailwind Water Spout and caught Ruben overreading on every turn that game, which is a very easy thing to do in a game 3, and I think I did do that versus Oliver in my last round, but it felt great to beat someone, because these are names that I started recognizing, I think, at this point, that I was like, wow, I look up to these players, and now I'm beating them at the World Championships.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't think you were on stream at all. So
No.
it's a shame because your team was super cool. I'm surprised they didn't put you on, but like you said, they had all these big names that they wanted to show off, and so it does make a lot of sense. And then I don't know. I do you know if you were on the side stream at all? Do you know if
No,
someone like Leonard
it's
got
not.
no? Oh my god, I can't believe it. That's
I wanted to be so bad. I barely got like a picture of myself, or someone took a picture of me at the at there with my during day 1 while I was focused. I forget who I was against, but I got one picture of me, so I guess I posted that. But it's like, if I get on stream, like, that's a profile picture for life for me.
yeah. And so yeah, you went 7-1 in day 1. How are you feeling going into day 2?
Terrified, first of all. Something different about day 2. It's always scarier because not only because the difference is, I thought of day 1 Worlds as the average day 2 at a regional or NAIC, but with cooler teams. Because everyone here already qualified. The same way you qualify for day 2 at a regional, you qualified to get to Worlds. And then this one is just a higher level, and it scared me. So I do feel kind of bad about my first round day 2, because I did get very lucky in both games that I won against them with Bleak Wind drops and never getting full parried. Like, they played incredibly. I got Thunderwaved on. He got all the Thunderwave turns right, but never got the full para. And I got 2 game-winning Bleak Wind speed drops on his Chen Pao and Zamazenta after he Terra Grassed, and I'm very glad that worked out. The other 2 games I lost, I was very close, but some speed tears decided those. So against Kimahara, the one that was crazy to me was the Ogerpon was apparently max HP and very, very slow. So what I thought was a guaranteed loss for me was actually a 50-50 that I could have taken advantage of when he had his Terapagos and his Ogerpon Hearthflame with a Terra still available versus my Urshifu, Serena, and Kyogre in the back. So now, and he had chip on his Terapagos, so the Terra Shell was not active. So it was me deciding, should I switch in Kyogre and surging the Ogerpon, or should I switch in Kyogre and close combat the Terapagos? And what I ended up doing is neither of those, and I close combat the Terapagos without switching out. And I never got and the rain got up against the Ogerpon Hearthflame, but Terrafire Hornleech absolutely KOs Kyogre. It is not close. And then versus Oliver, I had the Roaring Moon was actually incredibly annoying against me. It's faster than pretty much everything that I can reasonably put in front of him, and his Rillaboom was at least faster than or at least speed tying my Kyogre, but probably it could have been Jolly. I have no idea. Drum beating was I did not realize this until it hit me that that he had it. I thought it was Woodhammer because I kind of at this point I'm kind of assuming sets are what I think they are, except for I figured out the Pollen Puff on the Amoonguss, and I knew that Kyogre was gonna be Calm Mind, and I had the advantage because I have Thunder and he doesn't, and 3 water types that he can't break through. I know what I should have done now, but that Roaring Moon scared me, and the only way I knew how to break through it was Terra Ice Triple Axle and hope that I could recover from there. But unfortunately, this was more of a mental loss than a team loss, I think, at
Yeah,
this point in the tournament.
absolutely. And when you're playing players as good as Oe, as good as Huma, the margins are so small. But yeah, it's a and the other thing I noticed is that you were talking through the matchups that you'd prep for, and you hadn't prepped for Kyogre, is what it sounded like. So was it
Yeah.
something that you just hadn't expected to see?
Well, we figured that most Kyogres were going to, or the only Kyogre teams that we had seen were obviously off meta. So it's kind of hard to prep for all of them. But the ones that we did expect to see at most were the Assault Vest one that I believe Marcos and Chiliang ran at NAIC. And we did prep for those, but not to the extent of any of the others, because we figured if there's going to be any Kyogre developments, it's probably going to be off meta similar to ours, and there's not something we could prep into all of them. This Roaring Moon, I would never have expected this going into the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Oe's team was also super cool. And so, yeah, it's been really cool to watch Kyogre develop over the course of the format, really being pushed by a few different people. And all the different sort of groups that worked on it have coming up with different conclusions that all, look very different. But, just like you said, the Basculegion really helps against things like Calyrex Shadow in the late game. Roaring Moon seems like it does a lot of the same things. So definitely cool to see people have different takes on that. I know, at least for me personally, I was testing the Combine Kyogre team going into
But then you missed an Origin Pulse and you got scared.
No, I was like, I can't
definitely
figure
did
out.
that.
I can't figure out how to beat Calyrex Shadow Urshifu Water. Just that pinned me so effectively.
Well, I
And
guess the Roaring Moon is a weird thing, then yeah.
yeah, so Roaring Moon is super cool into that, and Basculegion is super cool into that. So I think it's really cool that people have figured out how to counteract what I thought was one of the hardest matchups for that team. And yeah, so I've got the rental code for everyone. So if you want to try this team out going into the January regional season, I definitely recommend you try it out. I know so many of you one-trick Basculegion for all of Regulation H that you definitely want to try this team out, and I think it's gonna fit like a glove. But yeah, so Daniel, did you have any final words or shoutouts that you want to give?
I'm gonna struggle to find some final words, but I definitely won't struggle to find some shoutouts. I have some great friends who helped me with this. Dylan Matthews is my roommate. He stepped out, but he helped me with a lot of the team. He did a lot of the optimizations for these spreads, the Landorus, the Basculegion specifically towards the end. Those a lot. I think some of those spreads came up. I did have to take a KO against a full HP Urshifu with a max attack or with a +2 boosted last respects, and that was definitely great. Riley Korn and Jongbin Pak or Jay were great friends and who went to Worlds with me. But they helped me prep for some matches between rounds, helped me calm me down so I didn't choke my leads. And then Joey Woodring, another friend from NC State, my college, who's been competing with me all season. And then of course Andrew ArkaneVGC on Twitter, who brought the original Basculegion Kyogre team to me. I wouldn't have had this run without him.
Oh yeah. And you mentioned NC State. How are the Wolfpack doing this year? How are they going to finish? Remember, this is getting published in December.
I'm not gonna make any predictions because I don't want to be wrong.
All right. Well, those were all the questions that I had. Thank you so much for coming on the channel and showing off this team. I think it's super cool, and I definitely think we're going to see a lot of people trying this out coming in January. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this. More people explore Kyogre, more people explore Basculegion as a really cool way to build it out. Yeah, thank you all for watching. And again, as per usual, pace will be in the description down below. The rentals on screen. And yeah, until next time, I will see you all later.